This is
Chat the Great.
I mean, it was all very old-fashioned. So at this point, the CD players had just been welcomed into a radio studio, so they were a very new thing. Most of the music you played was from records. You might be able to play a cassette, possibly, and then any other radio production would have been on these 8-track cartridges. So any jingles or anything like that, which would have been used again and again, was on an 8-track cartridge, which you put into a machine. So for 8-track cartridges were very popular in the 1970s, particularly in America. And they were really portable, kind of before cassettes, I suppose, really took off. They were another kind of tape machine, and you had them for cars and stuff like this. And they were about, I don't know, so big, about 4 inches by 3 inches or something. They were pretty big. You should go. I mean, it's amazing because people used to release albums on 8-track cartridge, particularly in the 70s. And I know that there are collectors out there who really particularly in America, really serious.
I've seen that in the film, actually. It was like quite a big trend in the 70s.
Yeah, massive. But they kind of lingered on in radio studios because they were a good way of, say, if you had a jingle, it would play, and then it could loop up and be able to play again really quickly. So it was really kind of basic equipment. And then you didn't have any digital editing equipment.
Yes.
You actually had to learn to edit on 1/4-inch tape. So that's how I learned to edit, on 1/4-inch tape. So if you did a pre-recorded interview, you might be record it on cassettes. Then you transfer it from cassette to 1/4-inch so that you could chop it up using a razor blade and a chalk pencil to mark the points that you wanted to edit. The digital world just did not exist.
But I think it's amazing that you've had both experiences, so you can really see, because like the terminology is still there, because you still call them carts, don't you, when you drag the track in and stuff, and it's still but like imagine. You have to know kind of the history to know why they're called carts, because they were actually completely different back then.
Yeah, it's true. It does link in. I mean, it's so much easier. I mean, it was kind of it would make you feel a bit. Cutting the tape with a razor blade was a bit like running your nails down a blackboard.
Oh no!
But then a lot of people won't know what a blackboard is because they're used to
so true.
Markers. But yeah, so it had that horrible kind of feeling every time. I mean, you might have to do this like hundreds of times, during an editing session. And it was really, because you'd have to squeeze the way the razor blade works. So you'd have a block, and you'd stretch out the tape on the metal block, and it would have 3 slots underneath where the tape ran, where you could squeeze in your razor blade. So you cut into those grooves that were already there, so that you could cut across the tape. And they were in 3 different positions depending on what kind of cuts you wanted to do. So the tape would marry in a kind of triangular or diagonal way, so that it would kind of cut back together, so that you would have less of a jump.
Wow.
Whereas if you cut it straight, like at a 90-degree angle, then that would be more of a jump cut. But you might want that as a special way of it, to a certain kind of sound that you might want to create. But the interesting thing is, I mean, people would be making music in this way. A lot of those early tape edit mixes would have been done in this way, and some of those legendary DJs from the 70s and 80s, particularly in disco, would be using reel-to-reel and making their extended edits of tracks on 1/4-inch tape and playing them out to the club from the 1/4-inch. It's pretty amazing.
Do you miss it a little bit? Would you do it today, like for one show or something?
No, it was such a lot of hassle. It was such a lot of hassle. Whereas digital editing now is so straightforward. Easy. It's brilliant, and the amount of stuff you can do, it's incredible.